So welcome to the newest edition of the Showbox Sires podcast series, The Evolution of the Great Cow. Today we're together, Mike Duckett, our partner in Showbox, and myself, Tim Abbott, your host, to release another exciting bull for our program, 744 HO 17423 Jinx. He is a Lambda son from Juby 16, and we're fortunate today to have some of the Schwartzbeck family with us. And Mike, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about the introduction of the guests.
Well, good morning. It's a pleasure for Tim and I to introduce Gus Schwartzbeck and Davis Schwartzbeck here to talk about Jinx, the bull that we're getting ready to release at Select Sires. Gus and Davis have bred this cow family for generations, and they're going to give us some information on how we should use these bulls and what bulls have worked well on this cow family. It's really impressive when you can go onto a farm like Peace and Plenty, and it doesn't matter which direction you point, you're gonna point at a Juby, and it doesn't matter which sire they're sired by or the cow family. They have the foundation of the strength and the width, and they transmit that on to the next generation. And with his Lambda, he's a bull that puts a little more milk into these show pedigrees. He puts a little more health traits into them. Our udders have been good enough for years, and the modern day cows of Lambda on some of these big, deep cow families is a logical mating, and I think he'll do a lot of good in the breed.
Well, and if you go to Peace and Plenty and walk through the herd, that's what their cows look like. They're strong cows, medium stature cows with great udders that make these guys a living. So yeah, it's great to have the guys from Peace and Plenty with us. We're going to start our discussion with them, Mike, today, and by asking Gus, tell us a little about Peace and Plenty Farm and what it looks like today. How many acres, how many cows? Tell us a little about Peace and Plenty, Gus.
We're more or less a family farm. We do have several employees, but we farm an awful lot of ground. We farm about 1,500 acres. We milk 260 cows. We run a pile of heifers. We got heifers stashed everywhere. Pretty much a family dairy. Davis and Austin make a lot of decisions with the cows now. Since Austin came back from school, and Davis has been here since he graduated from school, I kind of let them do their own thing, and they've done a pretty decent job here lately. Not that my father and mother are still very involved, but they had things lined up pretty good too. I mean, when I got out of high school, Dad, he let me go on and breed the cows, mate the cows. So I got started out with a nice group of cows to work with, and I think my boys have too. We try to, cow comfort's a big thing here. We do like the show. We don't go to Madison very often. It's just a long ways and it costs a lot of money, but we try to compete well here in the East, and I think we do a pretty good job. And thanks for having me.
Well, Gus, welcome to the podcast. It's good to have you. Just tell us a little bit about this cow family behind Juby and where they come from and why you're involved in them.
So Juby's dam was a Dundee that we had purchased at the Maryland State sale, and she was just a calf. So I remembered the family before her, back 3 and 4 generations. A great family from Earhart's. I mean, those kids showed those cows. I really appreciated the great-great-grand dam, and then the Astrojet there would be the third dam back from Juby. That just fine, great cows. And Austin wanted to buy something at the state sale, so I let him buy this little December calf. That's how we got started with the Juby family.
So Davis, can you tell us a little bit about the Juby family and some of the highlights of the Juby family that you're working with now?
Yeah, the Jubies, they're breeding pretty true for us. We got them all over, heifers, young cows, straight descendants out of the old cow and generations behind her. I mean, they're hitting pretty well, sort of using bulls all over. They're really coming along. They're making up most of our show string. We selling a bunch. Yeah, they're calving in nice for other people too.
Those are fun to talk about, Mike, and I don't know that there is a breeding herd in the country with any more success than Peace and Plenty last year for sure. Gus, how did this family come to Peace and Plenty? Like, where did the family start? How did it get going?
So the Earharts had bred the Grand Dam. Years and years ago, those Earharts, they had an old cow. She was sired by a bull named Clipper, and they drove her to every 4-H show in the state of Maryland. Didn't matter what stage of lactation, just a great big old frame cow that was really nice. And they didn't do a whole lot of merchandising. So they put this Dundee calf that went back to her in the state sale. And Austin was itching to buy something. He was pretty young. And I let him bid. Well, I thought he quit bidding, but he didn't. He got her, and it wound up being a great thing. So this Dundee calf, which would be the Atwood's dam, Austin bought. We got her home as a calf, and she was a fine calf. The worst problem is she didn't get to live long enough to be her potential. She was an awful good Dundee worked well for us, and there was a lot of nice Dundees in the area, but she didn't get the opportunity to live long enough to become an incredible old cow like I think she was going to. And that's a terrific family there behind her too. Maybe the cows weren't scored as high as they actually were. But anyway, that's how it come about. Austin bought her, and he was just a little boy, and he was tickled, and we got her home. And the first time we ever IVF'd here was her, and we did her to Ocaliber. Turned out really good too. So she had 6 Ocaliber daughters, and they all 6 went excellent. 7 and 6 went excellent. That's right. But that's how we wound up with the Atwood. We bred that Dundee, that Atwood, and I come home from Madison one year, all them good Atwoods out there, and I said, well, it's a bull we got to go use, and we used him pretty well, and he did work pretty well for us.
Do you remember what you paid for the calf?
Yeah, I think we give $18.50 for her, and I told Austin to quit at 17.
So last year, Peace and Plenty had a great run in the show string and had a lot of nominations. Can you talk about some of the animals that got nominated last year?
Yeah, so we took 2 heifers to Madison, a spring calf by footprint. She was 5th, got nominated. A Hanan summer yearling, she's out of a Doc Juby. She was 10th, but got a nomination. A tattoo at a Juby, which we had sold as a calf. She was 4th winter yearling and was nominated for Arizona Dairy. That tattoo is actually just fresh. Seen some pictures, and she looks nice. With the cows, year-old stock. Oh, a sidekick Juby 36, 37. She won at Harrisburg and got a nomination at it. And Produce a Dam won too, or got a nomination. I guess that's 6 altogether. That's pretty good.
Pretty impressive to be from one cow family, one farm either sold to other breeders or took out themselves.
Well, I remember that night in Nashville making the announcements, Mike. It was like the Peace and Plenty show. About every class, there was a Peace and Plenty nomination, and that was fun. But Davis, luckily you weren't there to celebrate with us, but we took care of that for you. Good. But the Atwood is bred better than most any cow in the business, I'd say. I don't know that anyone can say they've got a cow that had 6 nominations right to go back to the Atwood. You started to go there a little bit. Go down the line a little more about what your favorite matings on the old Atwood were, Davis.
The first time we did it was Ocaliber. I was over there in Switzerland and got to work with Ocaliber. Ocaliber's first bull come out. It was Acme's son, Ocaliber. I was like, this bull has got to work because I love the old boss iron. Let's just do it. And she made a bunch. We got 7. Most of them were excellent. They just good cows, really all around. A couple of them Ocaliber, especially at Juby 2, we actually took her to Madison with Duckett one year. Her line is really coming on. We got Docs, awesomes that are making good. Ocalibers were good. Doc was so nice. We did him twice. We're just getting ready to calve the second crop of Doc Jubies that we did. We IVF'd her twice, 3 or 4 years apart. I mean, they're all scored high, did well in show ring, and they all transmitting pretty well. You all got Doc 16, Juby 16 out there. So Doc 19, her footprint daughter, was nominated last year. You know how it is. Some cows really breed truer than others, and we're figuring out which of these Docs or which of these Juby daughters are really transmitting the best, and we're working them harder than other ones more so. But it makes it fun trying to look through 1,000 bulls and try and pick the one that's really going to work and seeing it come through.
You've worked with some of the great cows in the world. You talk about dealing with Ocaliber when you worked in Europe or Switzerland. You've worked with Mike for years and many great cows. You've worked with the greatest show cows in the world. Tell us why you think Juby and this family is doing it. Why are they making the greatest show animals in the business?
She had great parts to her. She had strength. good udder, good feet and legs. Those are great parts to start from. You all bought cows forever. Some cows breed and some cows, don't transmit. So it's just she transmits her qualities great. The matings sort of tell a good tale of they actually breed true. It's not like you're going to get a total random one out of them. I mean, you're getting the best of qualities of the bull mixed with her, and they're breeding true.
Well, too many don't do that, right, Mike? We deal with that all the time. I'm curious, Gus, if we can go back to you on the same topic real quickly. You've been involved with a lot of great cows. What do you think it is on the Jubies that make them so successful?
Well, so the Atwood was a pretty sound cow. Davis mentioned her feet and legs, her width, strength throughout, great big front end, big muzzle, just a tremendous cow to breed from. And when he come back from Switzerland that 1 year and Eau Calibre had won over there, he said they're going to release a Acme son out of her. And I says, well, let's go ahead and IV the Atwood. That might be good. And I was actually thinking we might be able to toy with something red there, but we never have got that accomplished. So Davis mentioned Juby too. That's the last milk cow we took to Madison, but she actually, it took us a while to figure it out. She was red factor, but we never bred her that away. So there's no red that ever come out of there. Started off with a foundation cow. Really made nice with power and strength, feet and legs. That's why I think she breeds the true. Davis is right. We IVF her to just about anything, and if we get 4 or 5, there's never a dud. Now there's one you're going to take to the show, and the other 4 are going to stay at home. But the other 4 at home are pretty nice cows. So we've sold a bunch of sidekicks out of her, but I still think we got the best one, and that's by accident because we never merchandised her before until she's really come to herself here lately.
Well, Mike, I got a good idea for the boys. They've not put any red in this family. We've got a bull called acetylene red that you better get IVF into, boys, because acetylene is just what you need on some of these, right, Mike?
I would think so. And if you're paying attention to the championship shows up in Pennsylvania, the ball's already rolling. There's the March calf class had a winner, acetylene black and red. So I would say it's time to use it.
We're just here to help them, right, Mike?
Yep, here to help.
So Davis, our bull that we're releasing at Select Sires, Jinx, is a Lambda son out of the old cow. You've seen his numbers. What do you think of Lambda on, I say the old cow, Juby 16? What do you think of that cross?
I think it's a pretty safe cross. I know the genomic numbers are there. I mean, not crazy high on stature, but great on udder, great on milk. Still, 3-5 on type. We know enough about Lambda around here. We know what kind of cows they make. We had 20 or 30 of them. They're all older now. And we've used a little Lambda in the Juby family too. They make nice heifers. We'll be camming some here this winter, but Lambda brings the best qualities of commercial cows. Good legs. They breed. They don't get mastitis. Yeah, it's just a lot of qualities. I know you're doing Showbox sires, but they're going to bring qualities that you got to have to make a Showbox kind of cow, really a show cow. You can't have some mastitis bag or crooked leg or anything stupid like that. And I think Lambda is a safe way to get there.
Well, Gus, you've done this a long time and you've bred a lot of great cows. You've led a lot of great cows and your family's won a lot of ribbons. One thing that makes it really fun is to get bulls into AI programs. Have there been any from this family in any major AI programs yet, Gus?
Not until you and Mike got involved.
Mike, let me switch to you for a minute. You know, the mother is a cow you and I and Milk Source own, Juby 16. I'm going to let you talk a little to her because she lives at Duckett Holsteins and you've been the guy that's taken care of her the past couple of years. Tell our listeners a little bit about the cow herself.
So Juby 16, probably not a lot of people realize this, but I always watched the show results, and we were having a sale and was looking for top-notch consignment in 2022 in the spring. I've seen this King Doc Juby 16 won at the Southern National. She ended up going from Texas in a large dairy up to Eaton Holsteins in New York. And then after our sale, we're itching to get out and buy a cow that we could do what Tim and I do as far as marketing a cow, and we thought, well, this is a good chance to get in. Flew out to New York, and evidently there was a lot of people seeing those pictures, because that's how the partnership of us and Abbott's and Milk Source got together, and we bought the cow. Came to Duckett Holsteins, and Cal's done great for us. She works on IVF. Last year she was 4th at Madison, got nominated. She's had tremendous daughters, and the couple of bulls that we're putting in through the Showbox program. Recently, her first daughter we sold from her was junior champion at a big district show here in Wisconsin. A cow that hasn't really done us wrong. We're very excited to keep working with her.
It has been a fun ride with that cow since the day you and Julie flew to New York and spent the day watching the cow. And you told me how the cow eats and how she filled with milk and all that jazz. She has not disappointed. And Mike, I think while she won't be at the shows this fall, we gave her a year off. I think when she comes back as a mature cow in 2025, she could be a force to be reckoned with in the middle of the ring.
She's a cow that's done everything that we've asked. Having some genomics and stuff with us starting up Showbox, it was a perfect cow for us to latch onto and market from. And her daughters make embryos, and we've been fortunate enough that she's due back in early spring, and we'll probably look to have a big year out of her next year. So Gus, what daughters bulls do you think this bull would work well on in most matings, in your opinion?
I think you'd be able to use him on tattoos and masters, and even get back into some older genetics. I'm thinking he'd work really good on like Solomon's. I didn't know what to think of Delta Llama in the beginning because our oldest ones are fresh 3 times. It's actually a bull that I've gained a lot of respect for. They just constantly get better with age, and they turn into great old milk cows. I mean, I think these Delta Llamas, I think you're going to see them in the pedigrees of great ones in time to come. And I think the cross on 16 I think it's great. I know there's a lot of people in this area can't wait for y'all to release a bull.
The sidekicks and some of these bulls that just need a little milk. Lambda will definitely add milk to a pedigree. With the way these bulls genomics are, I think there'll be some pretty logical matings on all those bulls.
Well, Mike, when our listeners look at the pictures that we put together for the flyers and pieces and videos on Juby, there's a picture of you stand with Juby in the middle of the show ring at Madison, and she's about a foot wide, and her muzzle is as wide as any cow you'd see. You talk about strength and balance. Tell us a little more about Doc, and then I want to get from Gus how the family is that way too.
Juby 16, we have visitors from all over the world here. When people get down by her box stall, they just stop because she's the definition of dairy strength. She's so massive, wide-chested, cow that always looks the same. To be honest, the cow's been milking 16 months right now, and she could still go out and show competitive today. It's a cow that she's very persistent in her lactation. She'll give 125, 130 at the beginning, and she's still over 100 today at 16 months. Feed her, she makes milk. You take her to the IVF station, she makes you some embryos. It's just a pleasure to work with those kind of cows.
As Mike describes that, Gus, just give our listeners one quick, kind of synopsis of how you feel about the cow family. All those traits Mike talked about, do you see that not just in Juby 16, but in other members of the family? You've had the halter of a lot of great cows in your career, showing great cows. Tell me why that's important to you and why that's part of Peace and Plenty.
Well, Mike just described the old black hat Juby 16's dam. I mean, he described it to a T. Great big wide front end. When you look at her from head on, she's got a big muzzle, wide front end. She's just an extremely well-balanced cow with a great big cage. Never quit eating right up till the end. And so we just lost her. We had to put her down. We just lost her last fall. And a cow up to the very end that she was tough. I mean, just a rugged, built, well cow. You knew she was going to be great to breed from. Cow that wasn't gigantic in stature. So I do see like the King Docs are bigger in stature than the Atwood ever was, but I do see a lot of resemblance as far as mass, width, throughout. Front end, so that is another thing the old Atwood had. She had a beautiful front end, a great big upstanding front end. When she was coming at you, she was pretty impressive. And it was a shame we lost the cow the way we did, but time takes care of everything. I mean, it was time. I mean, Mike described the old cow to T when he was describing 16.
And I'll bet if we go back, one thing we didn't reference, guys, a lot. Gus, you talked about the old Clipper in the pedigree, but there was a 94-point Astrojet in front of her, and then there was an Outside and a Stormatic, all before the Dundee. So you talk about a good mix of bulls in there. I think that's why there's so much success with this family. There's good bulls for 7 generations behind this bull.
I agree exactly, and that Astronaut, I forgot to mention her. I mean, she was a pretty neat cow, though. Them Earhart boys, they weren't very tall. They were just little fellows. But I mean, tell you what, when they took her around the ring and them, because our 4-H shows in Maryland used to be big deals. Not that they're not now, but it was always, that whole family intrigued me when I was a teenager, and that's one of the reasons why we've worked with the Atwoods so hard. And it's winding up. It's done us good. It paid off for us.
Mike, one thing you've all referenced, you and Davis and Gus, about Jinx, really nice height, well over 3 points of height, but stature. Just reference that one more time for our listeners, because I think that's the most interesting part of this bull's linear traits. I mean, the udders are off the charts, the legs are fine, the rumps are fine, but talk about the stature.
So if you look up Jinx's linears, he's 1.41 for stature. He's got slope to the rump. He's over 4 points for rear udder height and width. He's got a little longer teat, not obnoxious long, but longer. A bull that can work in every barn across the world. Robot farms, big commercial dairies, or at any show barn. Well, really, it comes down to great udders and cows with dairy strength and cows that they breed back and they're good doing cows, and that's the modern day cow. I think this bull is to the T.
Tell us what you got planned for the spring.
March 15th, Showbox Sires, Duckett Holsteins, and Abbott Holsteins, and we're going to have a little sale right here at the farm. We'll get some consignments too. Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. We're excited. Want to invite everybody out for the farm. We have some things going on. Yeah, cold beverages. We'll have some music. We're going to do it just right. Really excited to do it. Really excited to do it with you two guys.
Well, we're thrilled to do it. Mike and I are honored that we're going to get to work with you guys. And I think to wrap up this podcast, Gus, this is dangerous, but I'd like you to give your heartfelt invitation for everybody to come to Peace and Plenty in March. You tell them why they should come and what they're going to get when they get there.
Well, I think when we get done putting the sale lineup together, the catalog together, I think it's going to be pretty neat. I think we're going to get some elite consignments, and I don't think working with you two, I don't think we'll have too much trouble getting elite consignments. And like David says, I welcome everybody. Anybody that's never been here before. We're going to have a good time, and we're going to have some good food and some good drink and bid last and make everybody happy at the end of the day. Tim's going to turn the music on, and it's going to go all night.
Well, you guys are certainly family that I tell everybody, and Mike does too, that you need to get to Peace and Plenty and see their herd, and have Miss Lisa cook your dinner and spend some time with Joe, who is one of the neatest men you'll ever get to talk to. And it's neat to see a family farm, Mike, doing what they're doing. Well, guys, it's been a great discussion. Thank you for listening to this edition of the Showbox Sires series, Evolution of the Great Cow on Dairy Business.